before we start our video, I want to give a shout out to my favorite soap, Harry's bar soap, Stone Scent. Because if you're going to be in the woods running from a psychotic killer, might as well smell good and be fresh before you get killed. All right, before we get started, I want to announce some honorable mentions because there's so many wonderful actresses of the horror genre. And honorable mention number 1 is Neve Campbell.
And then Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrienne King, Sherry Moon Zombie.
And also Amelia Kincaid and Samara Weaving.
And one I really like a lot, too bad she passed away in 2014, is Marilyn Burns. She played the survivor of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Phenomenal screamer. So
enough where you wish she would have got killed so you didn't have to listen to it anymore.
So some say. I enjoyed it though. So all right, let's get now on to our top 10. This is probably the hardest list we have made. So I actually have notes, and I will be looking down at my notes because I cannot remember every movie, especially today, the way things are going. So, all right, using my cheat sheet here. All right, starting off at number 10 on my list is Kelly Maroney. She was in such movies as Hell's Kitty, Transgression Twist, Chopping Mall, and of course, Now to the Comment, one of my all-time favorites. You knew she'd be on my list.
He's obsessed with her.
Not obsessed, just a fan. There's a difference. All right, number 10 in your list.
All right, number 10 on my list is Linnea Quigley, known for Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Demons. And the reason why she's on my list is probably for her character in Return of the Living Dead Trash. You know, that rock punk chick, you know, that pink hair. Plus, you know, you see her naked.
This is going to be a duke out match today because she's number 10 on your list. I'm going to be curious to find out who's above her on your list. So it's going to be a knockout, drag out match today, I think. Ding, ding. Number 9 on my list is Michelle Bauer. She's been in such movies as Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, Slimeball Bolorama, Death Row, Diner, Scream Queen's Hot Tub Party, which is one of my all-time favorites. I had to use my cheat sheet for this one because I have a lot of stuff written down today. So, but anyway, you have to list her in your top 10 for me anyway because she's been in about every 80s B movie, along with some of the others that are going to be on this list.
Well, I've only seen her in a couple, so she didn't unfortunately make my list.
Well, we'll see who's listed better. How about that?
Okay.
All right, number 8 for you.
Number 9.
Number 9 for you.
All right. Number 9 on my list is Heather Langenkamp, best known for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Reason why she's on my list is she kind of has that sweet, innocent girl next door look to her. And as she was in New Nightmare, she actually looked pretty good for being in her early 30s. You know, still had that sweet, innocent girl next door look.
Looked good for early 30s.
Yep.
Just gonna leave that right there. But we'll see if she's on my list. All right. Number 8 on my list, Barbara Crampton. From Reanimator, Castle Freak, You're Next, Chopping Mall, and Puppet Master, which is an old classic. She made my list just because anytime that you've been in that many movies, her scream factor, just her acting in general, she had to be in my top 10. So therefore, she is number 8 for me.
Well, we'll have to see where she is on my list. Number 8 on my list is Kathleen Kenmont. She's from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, and she was also in Bride of Reanimator. Those are actually the only 2 horror movies that I've seen her in. So, the reason why she made my list is, you know, she was Kelly Meeker and Cops Do It by the Book, and we almost seen her naked. You know, they teased us just a little bit, but
Almost.
All
right. Number 7 on my list is Heather Langenkamp, who is just on your list. Heather Langenkamp was in Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, and A New Nightmare. She was also in Going to Pieces and a few other movies. But the reason why I put her on my list, she is not the typical scream queen where, you know, she's in every movie or every B movie. She doesn't get naked as far as I know. But Nightmare on Elm Street came out. I think I was in 6th grade. And that movie scared the life out of me. That movie is the one movie that actually scared me the most, where I actually, for a few days, a few weeks, had trouble going to sleep. And is one of the best horror movies of all time, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So therefore, she made my list at number 7.
All right, number 7 Scream Queen on my list is Catherine Isabel, best known for the Ginger Snaps franchise. The reason why she's one of my favorite Scream Queens is Ginger Snaps actually is a pretty good coming-of-age werewolf movie, and I watch it quite a bit. So, plus she's been also in a lot of other horror movies that I watch, but that one I think I like the most that she's in.
All right, number 6. I don't know how you can forget this one. Linda Blair from The Exorcist, Scream, Witchery, Hell Night, Strangers in Our House. And how could you forget Linda Blair? Now, some people say that others have started the Scream Queen franchise. She's pretty much the original because in 1973 that movie came out, which was before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, before Halloween. So how can you not have Linda Blair in there? Because she actually probably is one of the originals for the horror franchise.
What about Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, Janet Leigh?
She
was in Psycho.
Huh? We'll see if she's on the list or not.
All right. Well, number 6 on my list is Caroline Williams, Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, and she was also in Leprechaun 3 as Loretta. And reason why she's on my list is for her character Stretch. I mean, she's, that radio DJ, and she looked pretty good in them cut-off shorts there.
The fact that you mentioned Leprechaun 3 says it all.
That's actually one of my favorites in that franchise. So
I mean, it's not in the hood?
No. I would stop watching after Part 3.
All right. Now, before we get to the top 5, we just want to say that our opinions vary so much. Now, how I personally got to my list, there's so many great actresses of the horror genre. It's hard to narrow them down. It's pretty much by personal preference if you watched the movie. So I went by if they were in movies that I watched, favorite movies, things have I met them, how nice they are, just their acting, their scream ability, how many movies they were in. So for me, they had to be at least in 2 movies, if not more. So a lot of these for me are rated if they're in more horror movies over the time of their career, as far as scream factor and whether I watch them or not, or the popularity of the scream movie. What about you? How'd you get to yours?
Depends on it had to be how many movies they were in, because most of them were in a few horror movies. If they're known in the horror community, you could ask, hey, do you know who Heather Langenkamp is? And if somebody in the horror community can list off a bunch of movies, then yes, okay. So as long as they scream and in movies, that's all I care about.
Oh, they all scream. Otherwise, they ain't making the list.
Okay.
All right, back to our list. Number 5 for me is Darcy DeMoss and Felissa Rose. I have a tie at number 5 because I couldn't make up my mind, and I wanted to fit more people on my list, so I cheated.
Of course,
Surprise.
Darcy DeMoss had to be on here.
Of course. Okay.
Every video she's been on, almost.
Friday 13th 6, Jason Lives, A Bucket of Blood, Clown Fear, Sharknado 3, 666 Creepy Carrie. I'm sorry, but there's nothing wrong with Sharknado, by the way. It's better than Leprechaun. Anyway, did I just say that? I'm sorry. But yes, her, Darcy DeMoss, those are his videos. Felissa Rose, of course, Sleepaway Camp, Tales of Halloween, Slumber Camp Massacre. So that's a lot of camp movies. Zombie Killers and Dead and Gone. And they were so close as far as I almost put Felissa Rose ahead of Darcy because she started younger. But Darcy has her resume for horror movies is a little bit more, but they're so close and they're both so sweet and nice. And I don't know, the fact that I actually met them both, I don't know, it's such a tie. I was gonna flip a quarter, so instead, they're both my number 5.
You mean you didn't decide it because you actually see Darcy naked probably more than you have Felissa?
Nope, wasn't a factor.
Oh, okay. Shocking. All right, number 5 on my list is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, known for Final Destination 3 and 10 Cloverfield Lane. Those are the only 2 horror movies I know she's been in, at least that I've seen. She might be in more. If you know, let us know in the comments. But the reason why she's one of my favorite scream queens is, once again, she kind of has that girl next door look to her. And she was also in that one movie where she had purple hair, Scott Pilgrim Saves the Universe or whatever. That might be why I like her too, just the purple hair on her, you know.
And I'm the stalker.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
Wind up, pitch, curveball. Number 4 on my list, Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace.
Yeah, did you catch that curveball? That's right. From Hills Have Eyes, Cujo, which as a kid scared the life out of you. Because as kids you all like dogs, and that dog scared the crap out of me. 2007 Halloween remake. The Howling, Critters, and The Frighteners. So, she had to make my list.
Okay. And that's the only reason why?
Well, those are classic movies. Okay, you cannot dispute those classic movies. The acting ability, the fact of that, just, I mean, pure out acting at that point. Just the fact that she was in those classic movies can leave her out of my top 10.
Okay. Well, number 4 on my list is Alexandra D'addario, and she's best known for Texas Chainsaw 3D, Burying Your Ex, and also she's in the Percy Jackson movies.
She is.
So that's a non-horror movie for you guys. Reason why she's on my list as top 10 favorite scream queens is those big, beautiful blue eyes she has.
Okay. All right, number 3 on my list is Danielle Harris. You know her as the little girl in Halloween 4 and 5. She also was, if I go to my notes, because I will forget, The Curse of Michael Myers, Hatchet 1 and Hatchet 2, and See No Evil 2, and there's a few others that she was in. There's why I chose Danielle Harris above some of the others, because she started so young, and those movies that she was in, especially the Halloween franchise, I mean, they're classics. I mean, they are higher in the tier as far as movie notability, I guess if that's a word, versus some of the others. So she had to be my number 3.
Actually, she's number 3 on my list too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
On top of what you listed for movies, she was also an urban legend. She played a goth chick. So the reason why she's on my list is because I actually met her a couple years ago at Days of the Dead Chicago, and she was probably one of the nicest girls that I've met, you know, celebrity-wise, and she took time for all of her fans and even had my picture taken with her.
I'm hoping to meet her coming up soon at one of these conventions. So, all right, number 2 on my list is probably some people's all-time Scream Queen original, Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween, Halloween 2, H2O, Resurrection, 2018, and of course Halloween Kills, along with some other movies like Prom Night. Can't forget Prom Night. A lot of people forget she was in that one. Just the Scream alone, just her acting, plus not all the non-horror movies that she's done. Her career above most is impeccable. But she is number 2 on my list.
And she's actually number 2 on my list too.
Are you serious?
Yes.
She copied.
Except I probably had my list done before you, so who copied who?
All right, good point.
Well, you forgot that she was also in The Fog.
I have that on my list, I just didn't read it.
And Terror Train.
Yes.
And Road Games. So there's 3 horror movies he forgot all about. Yeah. So now who's the horror buff? Okay.
Who's right?
All right.
All right.
I'll give you that one. You're number 1.
Oh, I thought you were going to go on with number 2 still.
No.
I guess we're on number 1. Here's where I have another tie. And mostly because I really wanted to fit more on my list, number 10, to squeeze a few in there. All right, number 1 is a tie. And of course, Linnea Quigley. And the reason why she shares the number 1 spot on my list is because she has been in every movie or B movie throughout the 80s and or 90s. And you cannot almost, you can't pretty much watch a movie without her being in it at that point. When you're in that many movies, I mean, you're a queen at that point. And that's without the fact that she's pretty much naked in almost every movie. But just the fact that she was in that many movies, and her performances, trash, of course, and some of the others, Hollywood Hookers. I mean, just the list goes on and on as far as her characters. Night of the Demons. You cannot argue. Well, you can argue, but you'd be wrong. You can't argue with her being or sharing the number one spot. Now, the person she shares the number one spot, Frankie Stevens, because she's been just about every B movie of the 80s and 90s, and actually them and Michelle, they've all been in a lot of movies together. So, Slumber Party Massacre is probably what people remember Brink more in than others, even though she has a small part. But Body Double, Trophy Heads, which is a movie I'm trying to get that I've not seen yet. I'm sure the Sorority Babes, Slimeball Bolorama, Nightmare Sisters, and one of my favorite scenes that she was in Scream Queen's Hot Tub Party, because her kind of spoofing himself was just hilarious. We both had a blast with that scene. But those two share the number one spot, Leanna Quigley and Brink Stevens.
Number one on my list is Barbara Crampton from Reanimator, Chopping Mall, Jacob's Wife, which is actually a new movie that she's been in recently.
Not seen it.
And reason why she's on my list is she ages like fine wine.
Fine wine.
Yep. So that's our list.
Wow, that was short for him. Fine wine, and he's like, all right, thanks for watching our top 10. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, view the channel, help us out. What would you like to see? Make in the comments tell us your favorite Scream Queens, and let us know who you like. All right, thanks for watching.
And until next time, stay bloody.